So first thing we're going to talk about is motion upholstery. When it comes to motion upholstery and Lazy Boy, I want on the front end to get credit for a couple of things. Lazy Boy, the brand name, get credit for it. Michigan-based company, that always helps. Product made in the USA. I've heard people say, hey, Lazy Boy I heard it's made in China now. Have you guys heard that? I've heard people say that. Say with confidence, 100% confidence, that all the products that are on your floor from Lazy Boy are made in either Dayton, Tennessee, probably 95% of them. The only thing that's not made in Dayton, Tennessee are press back recliners. Those are made in Newton, Mississippi, a specialty plant that makes those classic style chairs. So, made in USA, Michigan-based company since 1927. Get credit for both of those things because the made in the USA has even become more important today. And you know, being a car town, an auto town, Saginaw, Flint, Detroit, that made in USA comments really helps drive through. So get credit for made in USA with Lazy Boy. I like to talk about the history of Lazy Boy because it not only adds value, but there's a lot of Mr. Knabush and Mr. Shoemakers, the founder of our company. There's a lot of stories about them that come throughout mid-Michigan. I have a dealer up in northern Michigan, went fishing with him when he was a child on the Osabo River. So there's a lot of personal stories and things that add value to Lazy Boy. Now when we do consumer research, there's a couple of things about Lazy Boy's name. They do word associations with the name Lazy Boy. And there's three common words used with Lazy Boy. Comfort, which is obvious, we make recliners. Quality, and trustworthy. And I get quality, I get comfort. What did the customer mean when they associate the name trustworthy with Lazy Boy? Well, our heritage, as long as we've been here, they trust in our company that we're going to stand behind our product if they have problems with it. And when you understand a customer, when the customer knows the name of a product, and everyone knows the name Lazy Boy, isn't it a little more, isn't it easier to part with your hard-earned income to buy something that is trusted and well-known versus a product you've never heard of or an import product? So it makes, hopefully it makes your job easier selling Lazy Boy, having that brand name to back up the product, the trustworthy, the comfort, and the quality, okay? Now, with Lazy Boy Motion, I'm going to talk about a couple of general statements about power. Power products are becoming more and more popular. They are being sought after more and more for ease of use, and it isn't necessarily a customer that needs the product, you know, that's maybe physically disabled or something. We've become a push-button society. It's hard to even buy a car today without power windows. I mean, all of you have power windows, I guarantee it, in your cars, right? Yes? Okay. So power's become kind of a staple that people are starting to expect, and we need to show more and more of it. So all of our products are 100% available in power. Every recliner, every reclining sofa, every reclining love seat, every reclining end to one of our motion modulars, is available in power. That's a simple, easy step up. They're now going to have that silver button system I spoke of earlier, standard with a USB port on the side of them. The 4-button system will be changed over this coming April market, and we'll change over the 4-button system to have a USB over the summer. So know that that's coming. So that'll be very short. All of our power mechanisms, I'm going to talk mechanisms for a second without getting into the gauge of steel and all that, but all of our mechanisms are tested to 100,000 cycles, whether it's power or non-power. And 100,000 cycles is equal to opening and closing that mechanism 5 times a day for 54 years. Remember that number, 5 times a day for 54 years. If I say 100,000 cycles, you kind of go, well, that's quite a bit. What does it really mean? It's equal to opening and closing that mechanism 5 times a day for 54 years. That's a lot. That's more than normal use. All of our power products go through that same testing. But Lazy Boy's power products has a couple of things you need to make sure your guest understands. They all have, 100% of them have a battery backup. You open up the back, the little black cover on the back of it, you put 2 9-volt batteries in there, and it'll open and close that mechanism. God forbid the power goes out, someone gets stuck in the recliner. If it's got 2 arms on it and they're not as physically able as we're all fortunate to be, they may not be able to get out of the chair. So it's a safety feature. And when you're having small talk, when writing up your guests, working at the counter with them, putting the information in the computer, and they did buy power products, they don't come with the 9-volt batteries, so they need to put them in when they get it delivered, number 1. Number 2, I recommend, just like your smoke detectors, change that 9-volt battery once a year, same time you do. I do mine every 4th of July. You know, fireworks, all that smoke and all that stuff is on my mind. Hey, it's time to change out all my smoke detectors. Once a year I change out all my smoke detectors. I change out my power recline 9-volt battery. So that's a safety feature. It's a battery backup. if they use that, power goes out and they use that battery, know that it won't recharge them when the power comes back on. Mention that to them because it'll open. I actually took the 2 9-volt batteries and put them in a sofa. It'll open and close that mechanism. I got 7 full cycles out of 2 9-volt batteries. That's not what it's intended for. It's intended for one use, for safety, to get them out of there. The other safety feature we put in all of our power products, customer gets reclined in this. They're watching the Oscars last night, and their dog decides to take a nap underneath them. They don't know that they're there. When you close this mechanism, listen to this. It's coming down my foot. You hear that pop? That ottoman broke away on all of our power sofas. To re-engage it, just lock it back in place, and it'll work again. That takes 20 pounds of pressure. And I'm not talking about dropping a 20-pound dumbbell on a 5-pound Yorkie. That would hurt. I'm talking about 20 pounds of pressure, which is not a lot, that disengages that mechanism. That is a built-in safety feature that's not required by law, but is standard on all La-Z-Boy motion power sofas, that safety feature. When it comes to our power recliners, which we'll talk about later, those have a spring-loaded feature. So it'll put pressure on them, doesn't break away like this one. They're different kinds of mechanisms. But safety features are important to who? You can talk, don't worry. All your customers, right? They have grandchildren, children, pets of their own. I did have one guy say, hey, can we disable that feature? I really don't like my girlfriend's cat. I said, no, I don't want to hear about it. Up underneath this mechanism are 2 adjustments. And they're very important adjustments because you have many different size people buying this product. You can say, hey, if you want to step right over here, don't worry. We won't get you. Rob won't get you. So there are really 3 adjustments. Number 1, the leg levelers. We like to sell area rugs. People like having area rugs for accents in their home. To clear that area rug, you can raise, sometimes that ottoman, the bottom of that ottoman will catch that area rug and the footrest won't open up. And we've all had that happen when we're demonstrating with a customer, right, at the so if you raise those up, those will raise up about 3/4 of an inch so they can clear that area rug and operate properly. So know that you got an adjustment there. The other adjustment is these wing nuts. There's a wing nut here and a wing nut here. That wing nut adjusts the tension on the back, just like on our recliners, to make that back easier or more difficult to recline in. So let's say on this end I have the husband who's 6'4", and on that end I have the wife that's 5'4". I can adjust each of those ends to fit their particular needs. It's all about ease of use. If it doesn't work easy for them, they don't want it in their home. So that's an adjustment. I call it a custom comfort option. Secondly are these cams, and this is unique to La-Z-Boy. These cams have 3 different positions on them. From the factory, they come in the center position, which is good for probably 94-95% of your customers. But if you get a guest sitting in that end of that sofa and they pull that footrest open and they're buying a manual product and that footrest doesn't quite support their legs, are they going to buy that product? No, we have a fix for it. We have a solution. We have a way of overcoming that objection. Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you get the LOL, the little old lady who can't close it, we've all had that. Now, of course, we want to sell them power, talk about power early and often. But if power isn't something they can do, A, it may not be in their budget, or B, maybe they have a sofa floating in the middle of the room and they don't want power cords running everywhere. We do have batteries that we can sell you for that, but maybe they just want a manual mechanism. We can adjust these cams to make this mechanism on the footrest easier and more difficult to close. So here's what I want you to remember. Up, tight. Up is tighter. So if I pull this up, I pull that one up, okay? Now, I don't expect you guys to flip over sofas in front of customers like I'm doing for this demonstration, but up is tighter. And if you push it all the way to the back feature, there you go, that'll make it easier to close. Now, I can stand here and close this mechanism up and down. You can't tell the difference until you're sitting in the product. I'm not an engineer, but here's the best way I can describe what that cam is doing. It's changing a leverage point. If I'm trying to move a big boulder right here, and I'm using my fist as a leverage point, my arm is like a 2x4. If I move that leverage point way up here, I got a lot more leverage. I can easily move that rock, right? If I move that leverage point way back here, and I try and move that, it's not going to move at all. So up is tighter. I'm moving that leverage point way to the back, making it more difficult to break away. That's all that cam is doing. It's changing the leverage point about a 1/2 inch either forward or a 1/2 inch backwards to make that mechanism easier or more difficult. That'll overcome an objection that I've seen. I was in a store up in Traverse City, and husband and wife were sitting on a 420 Devon sectional. The kids were playing on their iPads and iPods. The mom was sitting on that big stationary chaise on the one end, and the husband got in the recliner and he pulled the footrest up and it drooped. Didn't support his legs. The husband said, if this thing doesn't work properly for me, I don't want it in my home. They'd been shopping for 2 weeks looking for a piece of furniture. And I happened to be there, and I heard what was going on, and I kind of, hey, can I talk to him? Come on over, Frank. And I'm going to put this love seat back forward and show you how to demonstrate it with your guest. Watch your toes. Push that corner back for me. Okay, if you got a guest in the store like we had, you open that mechanism. What you're going to want to do is push this down slightly. Now, that cam, it's right there. I'm grabbing it right there without having to flip this sofa over. Go over to the other side. It's important you push this ottoman about halfway down. There's the other one. I closed it. The other thing I told the gentleman, because he was a taller guy, I said, make sure you're sitting all the way back in that piece of furniture, because tall men have a tendency to slouch. If you slouch in this mechanism, no matter what you do, it won't even support my legs, and I'm only 5'8". So he sat all the way back in that product. I adjusted those cams. He pulled that latch. The mechanism came up and supported his legs, and he looked at his wife and said, well, we're finally done shopping. Now, that was a $3,000 order on a large sectional that was ready to walk out the door because the recliner didn't work well for him. He was right. If it didn't work right for him in his home, why would you buy that piece of furniture? We had a feature that overcame that objection that helped make a $3,000 sale. So if you know how to do it, where it's at, and can demonstrate it, you too can overcome that objection in the future. Okay? Questions there? Lastly, I know you use this, but I'm going to repeat it. 100% of our motion sofa backs are removable. All of our love seat backs are removable. Modulars you got to be careful with, because the wedges and the sofa sleeper parts, those backs do not come off. But I've never had one of those come back that wouldn't fit in a house. Nice thing about that sofa is your professional delivery service will remove those backs for you. Turn that sofa on its end. That sofa will fit through any door, down any hall, in any room. The product gets delivered with ease. If they want to move it to the basement at a later date or to their next home, the product will get delivered. I worked in retail for about 7 years, and I sold Lazy Boy back in those days. And I had a customer come in that had a 26-inch doorway in it. It was a bigger, older home in downtown Mount Clemens. And he had been to 3-4 furniture stores, and none of them had a love seat that would fit through a 26-inch doorway. And I said, I got a bunch of them. I pointed to the first Lazy Boy sofa I could find. I said, I guarantee that one. He laughed at me. He said, that's the biggest sofa anyone's shown me today. How do you expect that to fit through a 25 or 26-inch doorway? I said, see all 3 of those backs? They come off. We'll turn that sofa on its side. All we need is enough height from the top of the seat to the floor, because those arms, your delivery team can hook one arm in, walk it in, and unhook the other arm to get it in the home, right? And he said, I've been to other stores today that have had Lazy Boy, but not one of them took the time to show me a simple feature like that. With that, I gained a guest for life because I took the time to help him with something that fit his needs. That guest became my client for life, and over the course of the next 4 years, unbeknownst to me at the time, he was in the process of furnishing a brand new home. I filled every room in that home over the course of the next 3-4 years as he filled them. I added it up at the end. It was about $65,000 worth of furniture in one home. So if you take the time to do something little like that, you can gain a client for life. Don't forget about that with our motion upholstery. Any questions there? All right.